Alright, had a few people asking me to show how to modify their stock Farmertec oil pump on an MS660 in particular, but this really applies to just about every adjustable Stihl. So let me go over to my fancy phone holder here. So as the worm gear rotates this thing, you see this whole thing is going to oscillate in and out like this as this is rotated. You see that? So we're going to modify, you see that gap at the top here of the ramp? And there's the bottom. So that's the full stroke. That's the full maximum stroke right there. And I had to look up on the manual. Clockwise is fully on, fully open as fast as it'll pump. Okay, so if I turn this the other way, let's look at what the stroke is just for comparison. So this is more or less turned down here, so the stroke is a little shorter, but there's really very minimal difference. So in this, there's a pin right here that you're gonna drive out with just a nail or a punch or something, and this will pull right out, not underneath the phone. Okay. So this little valve, it's got two O-rings there, don't gum those up. And then this whole thing, it's got a spring, it shouldn't fly out on you. There is a washer on the end of that. Okay, so this will come out like so. So that's sitting oriented like this in your pump. Okay, and this is gonna ride. You see how there's a ramp? It's angled slightly. It's barely noticeable, but it is angled, and that's what we're going to modify. So this is fully on, and right here we're going to increase the angle here at the bottom where I'm tapping here. Hopefully you can see that. We're going to grind in a steeper angle on this ramp, and then the other thing I'm going to do is on the correct edge. You got to be careful if you still want this thing adjustable, but then I'm going to take off. I'm going to grind on this flat edge here, right where I'm tapping on this side, not on the others, just on one side. I'm going to take off just a little bit, about halfway, and between increasing the ramp angle on this guy and changing the valve adjuster here, that will make a big difference. I have purchased the Farmertec high output, and I can tell you that my modified pumps, without question, put out more volume. I'm putting out a tank of oil and 3/4 or more to a tank of gas. 1-to-1 or better, consistently on my modified pumps. So let me pause this and I'll get back to you. So I'm going to show you real quick how I'm filing this. On the same flat edge, I'm putting this down like that. I'm not grinding on that full surface, only on the shortest little nub in there. You can kind of start seeing where I'm putting getting underneath there. Putting a flat on it. I don't know if you can really see that, but in line, my angle is in line with the flat spot. Okay, that'll let it's not critical. If you were to mess that up, it just won't be adjustable. Alright, so I'm still working on my grind angle here, but I got that more aggressive, and I'm going to keep working around. So I'm changing this cutout angle here, but keep in mind you got a worm gear that runs this too, and oftentimes what I find is that it creates a burr on the edge of these teeth. So you gotta make sure these are rounded. You see how this side is kind of rounded? You want to make sure that your worm gear is still spinning free. So it's going to step up one side, and it's okay. You will, as you increase this angle, if you assemble this thing and turn that worm gear by hand, it will be stiffer on the spring, but that will break in. Just make sure you don't have too much of a step, but it will get smoother. But you're adding more resistance because this pump is in the spring is doing more work. But basically that thing's just going to ride that adjuster up and down. So you want it smoother on the way it turns, which I'm trying to think of. I'd have to look at how the worm gear is cut. I forget which way this thing turns, but either way you'll be able to feel it if you got to play with it by hand. But you're just going to keep grinding. And don't tell my brother-in-law, but I actually use the chain sharpener. I just hold this thing real carefully under the rotating wheel just to take off this bottom little bit, and then I finish it up, clean it up with the file. But it doesn't take much, it just takes a little bit of time and patience. Alright, so here's my modified pump. I'll spin it here and show you how much more it strokes here. I mean, you can feel it. I can feel it on the spring. It's moving a lot more than it does otherwise. And that's fully on. Let me see here. I might have goobered up my adjuster a little bit because I got a little aggressive, but that turns it down a little bit. Anyways, this is a melon saw, so I don't really care. But done right, if you take the time, you can leave that stair stepper on your I don't know if I can get this plunger apart again. I got a little crazy, but if you leave that lip was right here, and it extends out, if you remember, and it should still be there, but I got a little close to my shaft, and so it's not adjusting as much. But if you're like me and modifying, it's not a real big issue. Sorry, I'll give you a better angle. Right here should have more of a step like it used to, but basically you just want to make sure that you're not, because that's fully on, and so you want to make sure that's your stroke right there. That gap, that's as far as you're going to get. So if you were to increase that angle, you want to make sure you're not bottoming out on this adjuster. So at the top there, that's your total stroke, that millimeter or so. You want to make sure that goes all the way down here. Sorry, you guys can't see there. So that's your stroke gap there. As I rotate around, you want to make sure that you're not bottoming out on anything. So that's that. Put her back together. I like to use plenty of grease on break-in. Put plenty of grease in here and on your worm. That's important before you have lubrication and bar oil on there. So good luck.